Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of White & Case, I'd like to congratulate each one of you because you are representing your countries at the 2021 Global Jessup Rounds, and that is a wonderful thing. My name is Jacquelyn MacLennan. I'm a partner of White & Case. I'm based in Brussels and I focus on EU law and antitrust law. But every matter that I work on has an international element, and that is something which is so important for us all gathering here today in this international environment. What a year we've seen. This has been extraordinary and challenging and difficult in so many ways, with COVID and so many other things going on. It's really sad that we can't be together and join in DC for the competition this year. But on the other hand, we're doing something different. And this year is an all-inclusive worldwide virtual round where everyone is coming together in something which is actually bigger and more connected than we've ever managed before. So there's a silver lining. This event today is a fantastic example of this too, because we have 243 students registered coming from more than 60 countries, which is really quite amazing when you think about it. So let me just tell you very briefly, what is White & Case? White & Case is an international law firm. We're based in, I think, 44 countries these days. 44 offices over 30 countries these days. And we were the first US law firm to go global. We provide legal advice and representation in almost every area of law that affects cross-border business. And this year is the 14th year that White & Case has been one of Jessup's global partners. The way that Jessup is important to our firm is shown by the fact that we have so many people who are involved in Jessup every year. We have our lawyers and our support staff involved in judging the oral rounds, in grading memorials, in producing graphics and backup in so many ways that you will never see, but on the virtual platform this year and in social media throughout the year. It's really something which is very, very much at the heart of our firm. And this year we sponsored national and friendly competitions from, I think, UK to Japan, Russia to Brazil, and other countries in between. And many of our Jessup alumni who are based in offices all over the world were involved in these competitions. And today I'm really delighted to be joined by just a few of these wonderful lawyers, all of whom are Jessup alumni. And they're going to talk to you about their careers, and they're going to be there to answer questions from you. And they're going to explain how Jessup has played an important role in where they are today. Now, before I turn over to them, I just want to give you some technical points about how today is intended to work. So each one of our lawyers is going to talk for a few minutes, and then once that's finished, everyone is going to go into a different breakout room, and we hope that that's going to make it easier for people to be able to ask questions. So each of our White & Case lawyers that will have spoken to you will be in a breakout room, and we have some other alumni also coming. You'll be able to see the breakout options with the lawyers' names at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. I really encourage you to ask questions, whether you want to put them in writing in the chat function, or whether you want to raise a virtual hand, doesn't matter, but hopefully you will have an opportunity to pose a question, and we'll try our best in the different chat rooms to answer those. And then automatically at 5 minutes to the hour, you will not have to do anything. You will all be moved back into the main room, and then we'll wrap up. So I'm very pleased to ask Dipen to start the ball rolling, please.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And it is fantastic to see so many of you from so many countries and so many different time zones joining us. I know that it's early in the morning and late in the evening for some of you, especially on a weekend, so thanks for making the time. So today's session is titled A Conversation with Whiting Case Lawyers, and I very much hope that this will be a conversation. The purpose of the next 3-4 minutes is for me to talk a little bit about my Jessup experience and how it has influenced my career at Whiting Case. And there is a very distinct and direct correlation. So I did the Jessup when I was doing my first law degree in India. I participated in the Jessup when I was 20 years old. And I was lucky enough to have the good fortune to be a part of the first Indian team to win the Jessup, and that was back in 1999. The Jessup was a fantastic experience really for me in 2 ways, but 3 ways actually. I mean, one was the fact that I learned about this subject called public international law, which I knew nothing about. At the time I did it, public international law was not a subject that I had yet studied at university. I actually did it after I came back from the Jessup. So looking at things like the statute of the International Court of Justice, looking at the different sources called customary international law, I had no idea what customary international law was. And it was really a sort of a learning curve. And it's a subject that I really grew to really fall in love with and really enjoy. The second was this amazing experience of doing advocacy, of going through the national selection rounds, coming to DC, arguing before very experienced international law practitioners, and having the opportunity to do this in this competitive environment. And the third was the social element of meeting people from around the world. During my Jessup rounds, we had rounds against Singapore and New Zealand and South Africa. And you met these people from different legal systems and backgrounds, and you made friendships that you've carried on beyond that. But the immediate knock-on effect on my career was when I came back from the Jessup, I was absolutely convinced that I want to keep doing this. And that obviously did not mean keep going back to the Jessup and participating, although I've tried to do some of that by judging rounds at the Jessup for the last 17, 18 years, but to keep my interest in international law, to do my further my interest in advocacy. And I did that in a couple of ways. First, when I finished my first law degree, I actually did a couple of degrees, postgraduate degrees, focusing on international law to further my interest in it. I briefly contemplated a career in academia. I did not act upon it. But what I then did is I said, right, where can I practice law, where I can actually use my advocacy skills and I can use my public international law knowledge? And I really wanted to be an international lawyer. I didn't want to be an Indian lawyer. I didn't want to be an English lawyer. I didn't want to be a New York lawyer. I wanted to be a global lawyer. And to be a global lawyer, I looked for a global law firm. And I was lucky enough to find Whiting Case, which I joined about 18 years ago. And 18 years down the line, here I am still with Whiting Case. And the reason I'm still here is because over the last 18 years, what was sold to me in the prospectus has come true. I wanted to do international law. I practice international arbitration. I do investment treaty cases. Doctrines of state responsibility and the International Law Convention, articles on state responsibility, all these theoretical, esoteric international law sources that seemed esoteric at that point are today a part and parcel of my practice. The other thing that I do on a regular basis in courtrooms or hearing rooms, or nowadays looking into the camera in my living room, is advocacy. Before international tribunals, where I often argue before people who come from judges and arbitrators who come from Saudi Arabia, come from Brazil, come from Japan, and therefore that whole international comparative approach that the Jessup fosters in you has been extremely meaningful to me. So the Jessup really was a defining experience for me. It helped me identify the kind of law I wanted to practice and the kind of environment I wanted to practice it in, and really helped me find a home at Whiting Case, where it's actually allowed me to do all the things and do it in a way that keeps me going and keeps me motivated to keep doing it. But anyway, that was just a very brief opening remarks from me. I look forward to joining some of you in our breakout session. And with that, I will hand over to Yasmine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yasmine. I'm an associate in the Paris office. My practice focuses on international arbitration as well. First, before I start talking about myself, I just really want to congratulate you all on your hard work, on your effort. And I want to thank you for keeping the Jessup alive despite the current circumstances. And I do really hope that you stay involved as administrators, coaches, or judges, and that you get to experience the full physical experience in the near future. To tell you a bit about myself, before doing anything that was remotely related to law, I actually pursued a degree in political science and international affairs. And during that time, I spent a couple of summers in the Balkans in Kosovo working on international armed conflict, global peace, and transitional justice. And that was the first time I heard about Jessup, because somebody came to me and told me, this is something you absolutely have to do. Of course, I forgot about it 4 minutes later because it was still very distant. But then when I got to law school, I saw a Facebook post saying, calling for students to participate here in France. And I decided to join. Of course, at the beginning, I hated the person that actually recommended this experience because I just couldn't figure out how to fit all my arguments in the word limit. But then once we got past that, I participated in the oral rounds, and I was very thankful because you get to meet so many people, and you'll see that because unlike Dipen, I stayed involved in every single edition of the Jessup since. So since 2015, I've been coaching, I've been judging for the past 3 years. We even worked last year with White & Case on developing the memorandum for the Jessup. So it's been really quite an experience. And then that was also what got me interested in White & Case because, of course, I knew about the law firm before doing the Jessup. But after the Jessup, I was determined that this is where I wanted to go. So I applied for an internship, and I interned here with the Paris office. And then once I finished my internship, I was hired as an associate. And today my practice focuses on commercial and investment arbitration. So I do a little bit of public international law, so questions of state responsibility, treaty interpretation and application. And I'm still involved, I'm still very involved in the Jessup, thankfully, because White & Case encourages us to stay involved and it makes it possible for us. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have in the breakout rooms about my career and how I got here. And I really do hope to see you sometime soon in the next editions of the Jessup. I mean, Jessup is a big family, and it's a family you try to get rid of, but it's not going to be that easy. So I really hope to see you soon, and I'll leave the floor to Shusuke. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasmine. Good evening from Tokyo, everyone. My name is Shusuke Fukunaga, a counsel lawyer at the Tokyo office of White & Case. I'm qualified in Japan in 2007 and started my career as a lawyer at another law firm and joined White & Case in 2016. My current main practice area is asset finance, and in particular, I have a strong experience and expertise in cross-border aircraft finance transactions. My main job in practice is drawing up contracts, reviewing documents, negotiating contracts for clients, and facilitating transaction process to achieve deal completion in a manner satisfactory to clients. Although there are some elements of international law in my practice, I wouldn't say I am practicing public international law like the other panelists. I deal with aircraft in my daily transactions, but luckily enough, I have never been involved in any shooting down of aircraft. For this year's Jessup, I am served as a judge for Japan national rounds, as well as the global rounds. And I feel very much inspired to see your brilliant efforts, great passion and enthusiasm. I can feel your enthusiasm, particularly because I used to be a Jessup competitor like yourselves, and judging Jessup really takes me back to the good old days. I can't believe, but my Jessup experience goes back about 20 years ago. As an undergrad law student at Hitotsubashi University in Japan, I participated in Jessup 2002. Like all of you today, I was tremendously fascinated by the Jessup problem at the time. As we all know, Jessup problem is very interesting and intellectually fascinating. It is very complex with extremely well-crafted facts and concerns very difficult legal issues, especially for those who do not speak English as first language like myself. It is an enormous challenge in a number of ways. However, it is truly level field open to students at about the same age across the globe. There is a chance for everyone in any country to compete with the brightest students in the world and win the championship, regardless of whether you are from a top law school in the US or from a well-known university in a small country. Make or break is totally up to your efforts, which is greatly appealing to me and truly brilliant. So at university, I devoted myself a significant amount of time and energy to the Jessup mood, probably much more than normal university modules. The online research was not as developed as today. I vividly remember the days when I rooted around in university library, searching for useful court precedents or legal authorities, read old international law books, writing memoirs over days and nights, practiced oral presentation with my teammates. It was really, really intense but beautiful memory. Today, I brought my memorial that I wrote at that time, and I still keep this memorial with me as a treasure of my student life. The result of my Jessup 2002 was very disappointingly not great. Our team could not win the national round and we were not through to the international round. So I fear for all losing teams and I know how disappointing it is. However, Jessup taught me a lot. Why I still keep the memorial, it's not just about memory. I would say this is the starting point of my legal career. Participating in Jessup gives me a number of skills which are very relevant to legal practitioners. Even if you do not practice public international law, legal research, legal drafting, oral presentation, analyzing facts, all those skills are very important and very, very relevant to lawyers, regardless of what types of area you choose to practice. Whether or not you win the moot, you are intensively trained through the Jessup experience. Like I said at the beginning, my daily job includes drafting documents and negotiating contracts in cross-border transactions. The drafting skills and oral debate skills I gained through Jessup is definitely a key part for that. Looking at my memorial today, it's not certainly not good enough, but this has signified the starting point for me and has kept motivating me throughout my legal career. I will say that what you are doing today at Jessup will definitely lead you to become a good lawyer. And as I said, my Jessup experience is 20 years ago, but it doesn't cease to fascinate me even today. I would like to conclude by saying many, many congratulations to all of the Jessup participants and wishing you all the very best of luck. And see you in a bit in the breakout room. And with that, I hand over to Kirsten.
Thank you very much. Let me echo my fellow panelists in saying congratulations to you all. It is amazing that you've made it this far and that we can be all speaking together virtually in this format. I congratulate you on all the work you've done so far, and I wish you all the very best in the days of the competition to come. My name is Kirsten Odynski. I am a partner at White & Case and I'm based in Paris. However, when I competed in the Jessup almost 17 years ago now, I represented Canada and competed on behalf of a university in Canada. At the time that I did the Jessup, I was already interested in international law. I knew that that was something that I wanted to pursue and indeed had selected it as a specialization. And the Jessup just furthered my interest in international law, reinforced that I really wanted to do something focusing on international as a career. And it really helped me sort of convinced me that I was moving in the right direction. But the thing that the Jessup did for me in a really real way is it made the practice of international law much more concrete. And it did it in two ways. First of all, it allowed me to meet both at the national and international rounds practitioners who were actually practicing international law on an everyday basis. So much like Dipen explained, it allowed me to see opportunities where people were every day using the very same skills and dealing with the very same issues that we were dealing with in the Jessup. And it also introduced me to a number of institutions and firms that were involved in the practice of international law, including White & Case. White & Case doesn't have any offices in Canada, and so I hadn't heard of the firm before the Jessup competition, and that, of course, was meaningful. Unlike some of my fellow panelists, it took me a little bit longer to figure it out that I wanted to be at White & Case and to develop the Jessup. So after a slight detour in some transactional work, I found myself at White & Case in New York, practicing international commercial arbitration, which is still my practice today, although I have some investment arbitration as well. And when I think back about how the Jessup has influenced my career, there's two really key things that stand out. The first is I can think of no better training for the work that I do on a day-to-day basis and have done throughout my career. The skills that you've learned researching, preparing your memorials, refining your arguments, and honing your oral advocacy skills will serve you well for your entire career, wherever that career may take you. And the second is the network. I am constantly surprised at how many times, both with clients and with my colleagues at the firm, I come across former Jessup alumni. To take a concrete example, I recently had an opportunity. I started on a new matter and we were working with a state. And the very first person that I met, within 30 seconds of the conversation, came out that he was also a Jessup alumni, and we had an instant connection that we were able to build a relationship on the basis of. So let me conclude just by encouraging you, even though we're in this virtual world, to really make the most of the social events, to go to the chat rooms, to speak with your teammates, with your opposing teammates, and with your judges, to really make as many connections as you possibly can. As Yasmine said, you will have, over your lifetime, you will have plenty of opportunities to deepen and enhance those connections by serving as judges, working on bench memos. The Jessup provides a lot of really rich opportunities to be involved in the public international law generally, and on the cutting edge of public international law, as well as being a member of a very large and growing community of international lawyers. With that, I pass on to my colleague, Chris in New York.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Stewart. I am a associate here in New York in our EPAP group, which is basically a fancy way of saying project finance and development. I have been with the firm for about 2 years and actually had some of my first interactions with knowing what the firm was doing through Jessup. I probably had the most unique Jessup experience, I would probably say, than anyone on the call. In that I started law school while I was playing football at Notre Dame, and had a chance to go on to have a professional career in the NFL, and then come back to law school to finish, which I would not recommend anyone do. I was the person, as far as I know, the only person to do it for a reason, because it's absolutely insane to do it. But my Jessup experience, and why it was so unique and special to me, was when I left law school, I didn't have like this grounding in extracurricular activities in law school. I didn't have a chance to do journal and things like that. So when I actually came back, one of the few options I did have of extracurriculars was Jessup. And I'd always had this this undergrad experience where I was a history and political science major. So I was already attracted to international affairs and attracted to issues like that. And I knew I wanted my practice to be international to some degree as well. So it was a natural fit to be able to come back and have this kind of experience. And so, you know, I would echo everyone else in saying, you know, congratulations on making it this far and competing in such a onerous task in such a unique circumstance with what's going on internationally. I hope you all take two things away from Jessup. One, as I alluded to with my own experiences, the main thing that Jessup gave to me, especially when I didn't have as good of a grounding in law as I wanted at the time, was it gave me a sense of confidence. It was the first thing that I was actually able to do, to stand on my feet, advocate for certain positions, and actually see other law students, lawyers, and judges interacting with one another in a space to you know, basically be lawyers. I had never seen that before, really, in live action. And so Jessup provided an avenue for me to actually see what advocacy is, which of course piqued my interest more in law and allowed me to be able to go forward from there. And then the second thing I would say, it was just fun. I had an amazing experience. I will be honest, I was not very good. I did not make it very far. I made it to the regionals in Chicago, and our team had not had a team for very long. But now we've had a team that Notre Dame competes all the time. And so I had a chance to do advocacy and just have fun. And that's one of the reasons I like to still try and be involved and still talk with our team at Notre Dame and things like that. So I'm excited to speak with everyone. Excited to hear your experiences and your questions. And I think with that, I will turn it back over to Jackie.
Well, I hope that everyone has enjoyed hearing the experiences as much as I have. I hope you've all enjoyed the Jessup memorabilia Shusuke showed, and then the memorabilia behind Chris of the football, which means that he does indeed speak the truth. I've noticed from the chat that what our panelists have been saying is resonating with you. So I really hope that what you've heard has been sparking off some questions. It's time for us to go to the breakout rooms. You can see the bottom of your screen. You can see the breakout rooms that are there. You can choose to go to a particular breakout room. If you see that there's a room that's really very crowded, go off to another one. You're free to move around. And then, as I say, at 5 to the hour, automatically, you will be given a few minutes notice, and then we will all reconvene here. So thank you very much to all the White and Case speakers. Great stories, and I hope that the discussion is as animated as the stories that you've heard. See you soon.